What's going on? Okay, hi everybody. It is Wednesday, November 12th, and boy, the system of prediction, I predicted on the 11th of November that something would happen. Um, and that something was actually the biggest solar flare and most spectacular auroras since the last prediction I gave, which ended up being the Ascension Day of Jesus last spring, which was June 1st. The same thing happened. The most spectacular, and these most spectacular auroras, and these auroras are right on target to these dates. And that's just because this is demonstrating the way the harmony of the order works. I'm going to show you, oh my God, the pictures here. My daughter was going crazy and her grandma was here. The pictures I got are just out of this world of this portal opened above the house that was so beautiful. I mean, I can't see pictures quite like this anywhere else. I mean, not that they really were this intensely bright. Like on this is not taken with an iPhone. You can see the Pleiades here, what looks like the Pleiades there. It really was it was very different than, so the last auroras that were this spectacular, the K index was near 9, which is maximum, were on Jesus's Ascension Day last spring, which was one of my prediction dates based on the calculation the voice of Jesus gave me the previous October 19th. And the previous October 19th was the base number, and I added 432 days, and I landed at Christmas of 2025, which we're about to experience. And the other calculations he gave me led me to Jesus's Ascension Day and the Mother Mary's Ascension Day in mid-August. So these are some of the pictures from last night here. This portal actually climbed up on my roof last night, was so much brighter than this, but it's just due to the exposure on my camera that there's no way to describe what it was like to the eye. This is what it started like this ruby, shimmering, beautiful ruby colors. And then it got intensely bright. Just one moment, I went outside. It's like I was called to go out there, and this portal opens up above the house and these ruby rays are coming down. My youngest daughter is just flipping out. This is kind of looking in the center of the portal that opens straight above my house, and I'm up on a roof that's 2 stories high. And it really was incredibly bright. And these rays are spanning far further than the camera can see. And it's moving and twisting. And of course, people saw these all over the planet. So what actually happened in the harmony was what I predicted for November 11th, which I'll show you right here, is it's important to document this because now this is really amazing. This happened in the last week. So I'm going to show you this. I actually asked ChatGPT to calculate a hypothetical orbit of a planet rotating around the sun, which takes 591 days. And it did that for me mathematically. It calculated in astronomical units. An astronomical unit is the sun to the earth distance. It's a little less than 97 million miles. So it calculates the number of astronomical units for 591. And then I asked it, what is its bullseye date when 3i Atlas will cross it? And it said October 23rd, which was, I did this with a ruler. Over a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I calculated October 23rd, and I thought I was being prejudiced because that's my daughter Awira's birthday. And there's a lot of things that happen. The day my daughter Awira was born, October 23rd in Flagstaff, Arizona, 2010, the same day in Wyoming at a military base, a UFO mothership hovered over the nuclear missile silos and turned them off, gained complete control, and scrambled the system. President Obama was briefed the next day, the day after Allaire was born. And I actually measured the angle from the Flagstaff Hospital to the event was Great Pyramid angle. So now we have 3I Atlas mathematically proven using Kepler's mathematics on the planets that the intersection was October 23rd. But you can see it enters the outer edge of it. It's about the 19th and 20th of October, and it leaves the outer edge on November the 11th, which was yesterday. So this is where it is now. So 3I Atlas is actually heading to Mars. So that means we're switching our frequency tuning to Mars, Earth to Mars. And if you look in the Google Drive, you'll see that it's there. So I don't know how I could have done this accurate with a ruler, but these dates are remarkable in the performance of 3I Atlas because 19th, 20th of October is when the huge internet outage occurred worldwide, which I believe was it signaling us that it had entered 591. And then, of course, the massive auroras last night on the 11th were due to an X 5.1 flare. And of course, 5.1 is signaling for Great Pyramid angle at 51 degrees, 51 minutes. So that is truly, utterly remarkable that this all lined up like a clock. And that's the thing is when you know how it's working, one of the things that happens when you're this plugged in is you actually experience the consciousness, the actual consciousness of what's going on. So for the record, I'm going to show this I have it in my email to myself. So I did the math using, you have to know what to ask ChatGPT. So basically it once I calculate how far 591 is from the sun in its orbit, I asked when will it intersect? And here it is, 10:23, October 23rd at 2200 hours and 5 minutes and 6 seconds. I mean that's how precise this is. So the fact that that occurred and I did it with a ruler, I just think I did it with a ruler using ratio. I just used actual ratio. So we're going to go really deeply into massive news on 3I Atlas. I was on Sasha Stone yesterday, and I went into this way too briefly on that program, but I'm going to go into it really deeply because something miraculous is occurring. I was almost kind of sad this morning because I know after Orthodox Christmas, actually, it will be over for a long time, whatever it decides to do in the solar system. And then next spring, it will rendezvous with Jupiter on Islam's Night of Power on the 16th of March, 2026. So this is one of the things that's happened in the last week is we have this new visitor, 2025 V1 Borisov, and it's in the inner solar system. It's right here. And you can see if I turn this sideways, it actually reached its closest position to Earth on the 11th of November. This thing just showed up. Like, I don't know if it just showed up and it came through a portal or if we just noticed it. And I don't know how we wouldn't notice it other than the fact that 2025 V1 Borisov, which is in perfect harmony to the 11th of November, because you see Earth here, this is when it's calculated to be at its closest position to Earth. And I have to its closest position to the sun was again, you got to look at all three axes, X, Y, and Z, to know that date. But they don't even have enough data on V1 Borisov. So why does it show up? Why is it closest to Earth on November 11th? It's only discovered like days before yesterday. And 3i Atlas here has reached the outer band of the orbit of 591, which I will demonstrate today proof of 591, captured on 2 cameras that NASA operates. And we get the massive solar event on this date. I would say that puts a lot of significance on V1 Borisov, because V1 Borisov also doesn't have a cometary tail. It doesn't have one. So that's that. I mean, it is now you're going to see here. Now, if you follow your eye here on 3i Atlas, when we get to the 22nd, which is double 1111, and the anniversary of the assassination of Kennedy, I'm President Kennedy, we're just inside the orbit of Mars. So we're coming back to Mars. So that's why we're now going to be switching to, you could probably this week do 591 for a few more days because it's still really close to the harmony of 591. But it's later in the week switch to Mars because we're coming to Mars. And the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th of November is all within the band of the orbit of Mars, not the position of the planet Mars, but the orbit of Mars is its wave, and its wave is I would say more is more significant energetically because the wave is the planet. They're inexorably linked, they're inseparable. Just like our brain waves and our heart waves are inseparable from us. You cannot separate the wave from the particle. So this is what's going on there. So we have utter perfection being demonstrated in the heavens above. But now we're going to go into 2 things, which are both really spectacular. So remember, when I love, again, what my Buddhist sensei taught me, and when I used to meditate with him in this Buddhist temple, and this Buddhist temple in Los Angeles was a garage in the Crenshaw district of Los Angeles. This was a truly enlightened Buddhist monk that I meditated with for many, many years. I meditated with Sensei. And Sensei was so powerful. When I would come into the meditation hall, the simplest things he did would enlighten me. Like, he just turned on the light switch and I went, oh my God. I was like, how could somebody do something so simple and affect your consciousness? Or when Sensei rang the meditation bowl, I mean, this monk just sat in meditation for probably sometimes 10 hours a day for most of his life. And he said to me, there is no universe outside this mind, meaning the universe is your mind. It actually is. It's the collective mind. And so when your mind is tuned, your mind is the universe. So what I'm showing here is really the proof, because I've really resolved the issue here. The resolution to the mystery object in the Lowell telescope is stunning. And I made this graphic to demonstrate that it is a hypercube or tesseract the size of a planet. And this was the image in the Lowell Observatory at Happy Jack, Arizona, which is just east of Sedona, above Payson. And the photographer who took the picture actually states that this is the smearing of a background star. We can see down in this far right corner down here, there is another star that's smeared, and it smears because the camera is locked on 3i Atlas at 130,000 miles an hour, and background stars smear over the duration. And I can't get the duration of his exposure, but it would be at least depending on the digital sensitivity, it could be anywhere from 20 seconds to 20 to 40 minutes. So initially, this gets sloughed off as a smear, but that's not what's happening. It's much deeper than that. You see in the lower right, my smear has no geometry in front of it. So over the duration of the exposure, you get a pretty clean smear over the pixels, which are square. Now this is the smear blown up, which means, can't take this lightly, there is a square cube in front of it obscuring the light from the smear. And in fact, of all the images of smearing stars, you will never see ever something like this in front of it unless there's really something there. And the fact that nobody noticed is remarkable. So by smearing, the 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 light on the pixels, which has gradients in the what's known as the gray scale, can't play a trick like this. Like there's no way these pixels. So you have 1, 2, 3 squares. So that's moving across 3 spans of pixels on the sensor. The square is in span 1, span 2, and span 3. It's the biggest in span 2. And this tells us a lot because in span 2, we're probably getting closer to the target of what this thing is that's obscuring the light from the background smearing stars. But it clearly has defined edges in the shape of, in 2 dimensions, a square. So that's why you see 3 of them. It's not one object because we can see the smear has these 3 points on it. So this is utterly clear to me with over 40 years experience as a photographer and also a black and white darkroom expert photographer. And I've developed, I mean, countless rolls of film over decades. I could talk about film all day and why it's better than digital, but I won't bother with that. This is the proof. Why is it the proof? Because the position and the timing of this is the 31st of October and a half, 31st and October and a half. So 3i Atlas is in the vicinity of 591, whose orbits are paired, according to my chart. Their orbits are paired for a duration of time that was even still happening on November 11th. But this position here of where 591 is sliding to the left as 3i Atlas moves to the right. So now when I go back, this is what you're really looking at. And some people will say, well, it's an artifact of the camera. No, sorry, you don't get to do that because these cameras don't do that. They don't produce hiccups and artifacts. If they did, they would be thrown out and we'd be using a way better camera. Now, when I go back to this event, which is on the 20th of October, when 3i Atlas was paired with the sun, because it was entering the vicinity of the sun, which would peak on the 29th of October when it reached perihelion, which is as close to the sun. This object appeared up here on the 20th of October. And if you look closely at it, you can see the outline of a 3-dimensional cube, which means the cube is inside of this, and the stars in the background are bleeding over the edges. You see this is your depth, your height, and your width are all illuminated. And yes, it's streaking Oh, and this is on the LASCO C3, and we're going to actually go to that right now. I really want to do this clearly, which I could not do on the other platforms yesterday. So I'm going to open up LASCO C3. I'm going to hold my place in the article. And the LASCO C3 images are constant all day long. Thank God that camera was not turned off, because if it was, we wouldn't have this data. So this is the LASCO C3 now, right here. I'll move it center screen. And it's very noisy due to the immense solar flare. Is still today, you can see it's November 12th. All these are charged particles, which are big. These aren't small charged particles, are streaking over the 20-second exposures of the sun that this camera does. So these are long exposures, 20 seconds. So I have to go all the way down, which I will, to the event of the 20th of October. So hang on, I got to move over here. I'm going to go way down, way down to, oh, that's November 10th. Oh man, we got a long way to go. We're going to go way down here somewhere. Let me see. It's November 6th. Oh my God, I'm going to go probably way down here to get to the 20th. I want people to see this. That's November 1st. And it's just the cursor is way to the right here. So I've got to go way down. That's the 30th of October there. And we're getting there. We'll get there. The 29th. Oh, maybe they blocked us out at the 29th. So I don't know if it's going to let me go any further back. But anyway, I have those images archived of the mystery object actually appearing and disappearing in the next frame. And I finally figured out why this cube, and this cube is enormous. I mean, it's the size of a planet. So it appears up here. And again, most scientists, astronomers, when they see something that shouldn't be there, they just ignore it. That's what they do. They're not focused. Their minds are not focused. They're not really trained photographers either. I mean, they have experience running the imagery. This is all actually automatic. It's all, according to Richard Hoagland, there's really no person there, and probably no one is really paying attention much because this camera is so old. So this is what you're seeing. This is the streak angle of over time of exposure, the black cube. The light of the streaking stars behind the cube. This is so significant also because of the position is where 591 should be. And it's possible these positions of these hyperdimensional planets are actually, from our side of the fence, are portals, meaning you're not going to see a spherical planet until you come through the portal, or the portal opens, like it did in the case of the miracle of the sun at Fatima. So this is really stunning. So here we go. When we look at this image, you can see when I put in the lines, we've even got a glint in the far right corner here. You see over here on the left. And there's the light streaking on the inside is when it was moving by, it let some light through in that movement. So it's also possible there's a little bit of translucency. This incredible brightness at the top of the cube is coming again from behind, is glimmering and glaring off of it at its angle, which is why it's so bright. But we have all the points mapped of the cube in the data. So that's what's going on here. And when you see this image, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. In fact, at the front end of it here, it's even got this other little protruding kind of shape coming off the edge of it. So it's a hypercube. It's a cube, but it's not a smooth surface cube. It's probably much more spectacular than we can even imagine. But if I go back to my original article on this, well, and wait till you see what else we have today. Oh my God. If I go back to my original article on this here, and of course, we understand the vanishing and appearing of whole stars and planets, which we talked about before. This graphic shows us, again, as a recap, taken by an amateur astronomer in the same position of the sun on the 20th of October, between the 20th and the 21st. Here is where 3i Atlas was moving along this yellow trajectory, and it's a tiny, tiny speck. We can see paired with that orbit approximately up here is where our mystery object appeared. So it appeared where it should, in tandem with the orbit of 3i Atlas, but 3i Atlas is merely pointing the way. It's pointing the way. It's telling us where it is. And that is just utterly, utterly spectacular. And again, this is where I show in the frame at October 20th, 8:42 time code, and here at 9:06, it's gone. Now, why is it gone? And then again, in the next image, it appears again. It appears again. And that's one, because it's hyperdimensional. And two, whatever is producing the background light, which we assume are stars, or it could be actually, it could even actually be the planet 591 itself that is the light source behind it that is streaking. And the reason I say that is in this image here, we don't have bright stars in the position up here. You see, we don't have them. And then in the next image, it appears again. So it appears, disappears, and appears. So at least I archived that because LASCO won't let me go back that far on the live today. And yeah, I've actually got 4 images of it archived in different time codes. So therefore, it's not an anomaly. It is not an anomaly. It should be the hugest news in astronomy. And it should be because the event that I recorded here of the black in front of it is okay. It is utterly, utterly remarkable. In all my years of photography, you won't see this happen because of a bad pixel. Now, if that pixel was bad on the sensor on this relatively new, the LAO at Happy Jack, Arizona, I think it was completed in 2005. So in the world of telescopes, that's a new telescope, and it's a huge telescope. Is just spectacular. So now, stop share. I just had one of these crazy. Now we're going to go to the new news about the angles of the jets. And the new news on the angles of the jets is incredible. So here we go. This is how it communicates. Okay, there's 2 articles I have on the jets. So this is the first one. So this image here, taken, click on the image. This is the negative. These white, I'm having this strange thing happen with my zoom, and it just decides to zoom in super far, and then I have to reset it because I can't get it to stop doing this. So I have to go back. Oh, share screen. Okay, so let me go back. This is the core of the message. So these white lines are marked by the astronomers, not me. They're marking the positions of the jets. And when you go into positive mode here, you see that they turn black. So these jets are streaking, and you'll notice at the center there is a square. Look at this. Nobody noticed the white square. You see the gray here? Again, the camera doesn't lie. That's geometry. That is clearly geometry. And there's no question when I see that geometry that the reason we still don't have the images from the Mars HiRISE camera, even though Congressman Luna has asked NASA to release them. Avi Loeb believes that when the government shutdown ends, that we'll get the images, but there's a high probability those images are going to be smeared or doctored, like the Chinese images were clearly smeared. So all I do is I connect the angles. And I can, if I follow the angle of the jet, the point of origin is the upper left-hand corner of this. I would say it's likely 3i Atlas is exhibiting a lot of geometry, but in this case, we're looking at 2 dimensions of a cube. And remember, 591 exhibited a cube, and now 3i Atlas has this square. And I can tell that by the angles here, this is not a flat square. This is a square at an angle, if you look at my hand. And so my angles are 39 degrees, which is the Great Pyramid's angle of resurrection. 26 degrees is the angle of ascent and descent inside of the Great Pyramid's ascending and descending passages. And 19.5 degrees is half of 39. And 39 is the complementary angle to 51. Remember, it's not exactly 39. It's between 38 and 39 to be precise, but rounded off, it's 39. So these are all angles on the Giza Plateau, and it's exhibiting them perfectly. I mean, this is huge. You have to think of the movie Interstellar, where Matthew McConaughey's character, I just watched it again the other night because I remember this scene in the end when he's in the Tesseract, the cube, the Tesseract cube, and he's communicating with his daughter using shadows and light to send her a Morse code and binary message, and she understands it. His daughter understands it because she's paying attention. And of course, these scientists are not paying attention, but I recognize the angles right away, which is why I mapped them. I mean, if I had one coinciding angle and the other two were mush, I probably wouldn't pay attention. But I'm way beyond mush because all 3 angles in this portion are extremely meaningful. But when I come down here, and this is my article on Medium. I'm getting thousands of reads on these articles on Medium. The 26.3 degree angle, we know, and this is Peter Lemaizure's, from the Great Pyramid to the east runs through the birthplace of Christ. And I mapped when it crosses the River Jordan is the exact position where John the Baptist baptized. So that means, again, it's pointing to the position of the rising star of Bethlehem in the east. The real star of Bethlehem is planet 139. So that would mean the message here, if we go back to this at the 26-degree angle, is this angle is the birthplace of Christ, pointing to the star of Bethlehem, which is hyperdimensional planet 139. And 39 degrees is another message which we will go over and recap here today. So here's Peter Lemaizure's messages. I mean his graphics showing at summer solstice the shadow arms coming off the Great Pyramid are. It's really interesting that he never did this because this is degrees, minutes, and seconds. So 26 degrees, 18 minutes, 9.7 seconds is 26.3 degrees when you convert it to digital. But he's also demonstrating the west arm, and he doesn't know the west arm runs right through Fatima, Portugal. It runs right through. So, and I'll demonstrate again. Again, on Christmas Day, you'll see up here that 3i Atlas will be Great Pyramid angle exactly 51.853972 degrees to Earth, and 38.14 is the complementary, again, between 38 and 39 degrees on all three pyramids in the Giza Plateau. So the fact that it's sending these angles, and it will be at pyramid angle at Christmas, is like, I mean, how would you say it? It's called redundancy, because if you didn't get the message the first time, it's saying, pay attention, I'm going to be redundant. This shows absolute intelligence of whatever is operating 3i Atlas. I mean, this should be enormous news. Is it going to do anything at Christmas spectacular? I would say this is already spectacular, because these pointers are pointing to the positions in the heavens of the hyperdimensional solar system. And in fact, here in this article here that I have, The Invisible Planet That Eluded Everyone, is going over exactly that, the miracle of the sun at Fatima. And this is interesting. I didn't know this. This is really interesting, that after looking at the observer's testimony for the miracle of the sun at Fatima and the dimming of the sun during the apparitions of the Holy Mother that was appearing to the three small children at Fatima, Portugal in 1917, I always wondered why no astronomer believed the 100,000 plus witnesses and thought the obvious possibility that an unknown planet had obstructed the sun in an annular eclipse, because that is what the data appears to present. The inner solar system planets between Earth, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus transit the sun in periods of time. Venus transits come in pairs, and then those pairs return in cycles. Mercury transits don't come in pairs. Was there a Mercury transit or Venus in 1917? The answers to those were both no. There was, the closest ones were November 7th, 1914 and May 8th, 1924, but not on the mark. Was there, so this is where it gets difficult. Cardinal Federico Tedeschini, speaking at a Fatima conference on the 13th of October 1951, told the crowd that Pope Pius XII had seen a phenomenon like the Fatima miracle of the sun from the Vatican Gardens on the 30th of October, 31st, and November 1st, and allegedly November 8th, 1950. The assertion appears in the contemporary press coverage, has been repeated in Catholic and popular histories, the Pope's own brief handwritten notes. So this is what I asked. Multiple accounts record that a mass gathering on the 13th of October, 1951, this is during his presentation, the Pope Pius XII had seen a Fatima-like solar phenomenon on those dates. So, however, Pope Pius XII in 1950 witnessed the same phenomena as the miracle of the sun. So I asked, was there a Mercury or Venus transit in 1950? And guess what? There was. The date of the transit was November 7th of that same year. Good visibility across Europe, including Italy, where Pope Pius was located. But but the timing of this transit occurred 1 week after the period that the Pope saw the event. And according to him, in his own words, where are his own words? I have it. The sun, which was still quite high, this is quoting him, looked like a pale, opaque sphere, entirely surrounded by a luminous circle, he recounted. So the luminous circle is the annular ring surrounding the opaque sphere. But he's experiencing this a week before the transit of Mercury that'll follow it. It's so obvious. This is a transit of a planet between Mercury and Venus. And they're back to back. Remember? Back to back. I mean, I can't even believe the astronomers didn't even research this. Why? Because if there's not supposed to be something there, they won't pay attention, because their minds and eyes are closed. So we can see in the data the distance between Fatima Miracle of the Sun, October 13th, 1917, and Pope Pius. Notice his is in October too, but it's the 30th of October that he first sees it. They're 33 years apart in time. Jesus was born with the appearance of the Star of Bethlehem, and 33 years later, there was an eclipse marking 3 hours of darkness on the cross. The problem is with 3 hours of darkness on the cross is solar eclipses are over in about 20 minutes. So the only thing that lasts 3 hours that could explain 3 hours of darkness would be a transit. Because transits take 6 to 7 hours. That's from beginning to end. But the period of the central opaqueness of the transit is only going to last half of that, which is 3 hours. So Jesus on the cross is clearly the event on the cross being 33 years apart corresponds to my planet Seraphim here. 32.93 days to go around the sun. So what does that mean? On Earth, when 33 years pass, planet Seraphim will go around the sun inversely 365 times. So they swap. So that explains it. That again, in this event, that we have the explanation for not only the miracle of the sun at Fatima, but we have in fact, I actually checked this. This is really amazing. I didn't know this before either, but the first date of Fatima is the 13th of May. And the 13th of May, 1917, is 139 days to the start of the solar year, which is December 25th, which is Christmas. Christmas is 3 days after winter solstice, the start of the solar year. So this gets really, really deep. So that means what was May 13th ever the Ascension Day of Christ, which is 39 to 40 days after Easter? And the answer is yes, it is. May 13th, remember, because 139 is in harmony with the Ascension of Christ, planet 139. So yes, April 4th, 1909, Ascension Day fell on May 13th. April 4th, 1920, it fell on May 13th. April, this is the Easter date. This is the Ascension date. So 1931, 1920, 1909. And then again, it happens again on May 13th in 1999, 2010. In fact, 2021, which is the year my wife died, it was May the 13th. So that tells you, in fact, the Catholic Church hasn't even noticed this, that the first date of Fatima, May 13th, which is 139 days into the solar year marked at Christmas, is in alignment with my planet 139. So it's all coming together. It's all coming together perfectly. So these angles, we've got one more article on the angles because the next image of the angles is taken. There's a single jet. This is 3i Atlas here. And you can see this is 26.3 degrees. You can just see it. And you see at the front end of it, there's this very subtle long jet here. And this jet coming out of the back of it. And I really, before the space started to distort it out here, I stayed in my focus measuring in my angle here. We've got, with my protractor, there's 26 degrees. I mean, you couldn't do better than that. I mean, I got my protractor weighed in on it, and I'm at the center of the axis, which again is in the upper left-hand corner, is the point of origin on 3i Atlas. So we have it. Twice the 3i Atlas exhibits. So this time it gets rid of all the other angles, and it gives us the angle of the real star Bethlehem that rises in the east and sets in the west. And again, when I go on my sun calc and I look at my angle, I can see that what Peter Lemaitre did was correct. And that here, 26.3 degrees to the west of the Great Pyramid runs straight through, right through Fatima. I mean, it's not even off by a tenth of a degree. I mean, this should end the debate of what caused the miracle of the sun at Fatima. It should completely end it, and it should get the interest of all the churches, because if Jesus is birth angle is 26 degrees to the east and his baptism angle is 26 degrees to the east and the setting angle to the west is 26 degrees at Fatima, and the center of the Iberian massive power outage last spring is at this same angle, because this is where the outage occurred, and the outage occurred on an Easter date, a very common date for Easter. I had gone over this before. So what does this tell us? Why is 3i Atlas pointing the way to the same angle that we're looking at here? I mean, I need to go on my Earth Google here, because the other angles that 3i Atlas gave us are there too, just to recapture this. I mean, this is absolutely stunning that this is happening, because we've all seen in the inner circle my angles to angels project, which is huge. This is a huge project. So firstly, let me do my share screen here. Firstly, 3i Atlas exhibited the 39-degree angle, and the 39-degree angle leaving the pyramid took us to the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico. I just stayed at the same angle leaving the Great Pyramid, and it connects to the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico, which is stunning. And continuing on that angle, I end up at Tepeyac Hill, which is where the apparition of the resurrected Mother Mary appeared on the 12th of December in 1531. Now, in 1531, winter solstice was on the 12th of December on the Julian calendar, but today it's on the 22nd of December. So what's more important than the date is it's winter solstice, and a resurrected being is appearing at 39 degrees to the west and of the pyramid. And then when I go back, my huge pyramid angles project to the pyramid, because when you go to the west, I mean, I know a lot of us have seen this, but it's incredible to see that 3i Atlas is demonstrating this. It's demonstrating this. That 39 degrees, the angle of resurrection to the west runs through this red balloon here, the Zaytun Church, where in 1968 the resurrected body of the Mother of Christ appears, and over 2 million people witnessed this luminous body of light. Went on for a few years, intermittently at 39 degrees from the pyramid. And if I follow the end of the line of the 39 degrees, it takes me to where Jesus appeared 3 times in his resurrected body at the Sea of Galilee here, and where recently, in recent years, the temple of Mary Magdalene's family, with their own synagogue and their own Holy of Holies, has been excavated right at this angle. I mean, right here is the Magdala Temple, the Mary Magdalene Temple, right at the end of the 39 degrees. So this is 39 degrees to the east, and I demonstrated 39 degrees to the west. So we have multiple resurrected beings appearing on this angle, because Jesus appears resurrected at this angle. He walked on water at the Sea of Galilee at this angle. And then again, the 26-degree angle that 3i Atlas exhibits is the birth site of Jesus and the baptism site of Jesus at 26 degrees. So why is this happening with 3i Atlas? What is it? What is it beckoning us with? Is it the real thing is to understand is it's pointing to the position of the real star Bethlehem. No, it's not Jupiter. No, it's not pointing to Jupiter. It's pointing to planet 139.516, which is its orbital period. And that is what is key here, is in the 591 formula, we get the positions of all the hyperdimensional, the positions of all the hyperdimensional planets, which I should just go over here again briefly for the record, because some people seeing these videos are new at this, and they haven't taken the course, and they're not doing the frequencies. The frequencies take you there. They take you there. So remember, this is 591, the number of days after my wife, Crystal Sereda, died. She calls out my name like an opera singer, so loud in the hotel room. Divided by the golden ratio gives me the orbit of Earth. Divided by the golden ratio gives me the orbit of Venus. Divided by the golden ratio gives me 139.51, which is the planet we're talking about at 26 degrees, rising and setting. Divided by the golden ratio gives me Mercury. Divided by the golden ratio again gives me planet Cherubim. Divided by the golden ratio gives me Seraphim, which is the planet responsible for the birth of Christ and the setting position of Christ on the cross. And then planet Vulcan is next in the golden ratio series. So the algorithm and the math proves that it's all there. So that's why now I want to talk a bit about toning, the different methods of tuning the human nervous system for meditation to align to be in harmony with these positions is the spiritual work. And the spiritual work is to do this. We put on headphones because some of these tones are really low, and you're going to hear the perfect pitch, I mean, in your ears, and you match it with your voice, making sounds that are, you can move through the vowels. And we did this in the inner circle in the last several years. You can make an A, an ah, E, I, O, U. And you match, you're training your voice to be at the pitch you're hearing. This is how musicians and singers tune their guitars and their pianos. They use a tone that is perfect pitch, or they use a meter and they tighten the strings on the piano or the guitar or loosen them until they're at perfect pitch. And that way, when they strum the guitar or hit the piano key, the singer is matching the pitch of the frequency of that note, be it an A, B, C, D, E, or a flat and sharp note, and a particular octave. So that's how music works. And that's why singers who practice at perfect pitch are, in fact, even singers in the church choir, like Whitney Houston was a church choir girl in the beginning. They learn this perfect pitch. And when you start resonating at these pitches, your energy centers, chakras, if you will, start to release energy when they know you're at perfect pitch. Now, if you're out of tune, like an out of tune violin or guitar or piano, they will release very little energy. And the key in doing the frequencies and the toning is that to train yourself to be at perfect pitch so that your energy centers release the maximum amount of energy and they tune you to the positions in the harmony order. This is in Jamie James' book, Music of the Spheres, which is one of my favorite books, which is about the history of the birth of music scales. There's this scene of a wedding feast. It says here, Stahl tells us the medieval readers were impressed by the hauteur and jargon of Mauritanius's female wizards and entitled by his spicy descriptions of their charms by other Phillips, which he added to the setting. That is certainly an apt characterization of Martinez's lavish description of Harmony, who comes last in the place of honor among her sister liberal arts, which seems uncannily to anticipate the opulence of Renaissance operatic settings. Stahl's translation of Harmony's entrance into the wedding feast is worth quoting in full. I love this. I love this because the instrument she's wearing reminds me of my circular coils that are woven in these patterns to release frequencies into a person, to tune them. Harmony walked among Phoebus and Pallas, a lofty figure whose melodious head was adorned with ornaments of glittering gold. Her garment was stiff and incised with laminated gold and tinkled softly and soothingly with every measured step and movement of her body. Her radiant mother, the Paphian Venus, who followed her closely, though she too moved with graceful measure and balanced steps, could scarcely match the gait of her daughter, Harmony. In her right hand, Harmony bore what appeared to be a shield, circular over all, and many inner circles, the whole interwoven with remarkable configurations. Notice it says interwoven. The encompassing circles of the shield were attuned to each other, and from the circular chords there poured forth a concord of all the modes. From her left hand, the maiden held, suspended at equal length, several small models of theatrical instruments wrought of gold. No lyre or lute or tetrachord appeared on that circular shield, yet the strains coming from that strange rounded form surpassed those of all musical instruments. And soon, as she entered the hall, a symphony welled from the shield into the room. So later, after the wedding, she is approached, and this is where it gets really interesting, to by all the contemporaries and the philosophers, and they want to know her secret. She's clearly not from Earth. She's clearly a true goddess, not a human adorned, because she bears with her a circular woven, just like my coils, um, shield instruments. And I just want to put this up here for people. If you go to my website, you can see what I'm talking about, to davidsereda.co. And you can see these coil systems that I have here are kind of like what Harmony is using to produce this incredible music. So you can pair them with stereo speakers, and they're handmade, and they come in all different shapes and sizes here. And these transmit all the way down to 0.5 hertz, all the way up. Most stereo speakers start at about 40 hertz. So they miss the delta, the theta, the alpha, and the beta part of the brain. Actually, most stereo speakers are missing the entire brain, actually. So when you understand that and what the Goddess Harmony is doing here, you understand that she is introducing humanity to next level. And there's no evidence that her instruments, which according to her are tuned to the harmony of the ratios of the ratios of the planets, is exactly what we're doing here. The frequencies we're doing right now are Earth to 591. So that's the harmony, Earth to 591. And we should do that for 3 more days. And then we're switching Earth to Mars. We're coming back to Mars because at the end of the month of November, we're coming back to Mars. And after that, early December, it's all about Earth. And I got the message in my meditation to do the pyramid frequencies again during the month of December, which I'll load in the Google Drive, because the pyramid frequency music scale, as I've demonstrated, is a superior harmony to our current music scale. So with that, have a great week, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.